I've been making mountain bike videos on YouTube for the last 4 years and been on a journey to master these low action cameras. And with a lot of trial and error, I think I've landed on what gives you the best possible results using your GoPro. And in this 2-part video series, we're gonna walk through how you capture, edit, and export your GoPro footage so you can level up your mountain bike content.
If you're just here for my GoPro settings and have GoPro Labs firmware downloaded, you can scan this QR code and it will automatically add my settings to your GoPro. We're going to be setting up our GoPro with a quick app on our phone, as I think it's a bit easier than using the small screen on the GoPro. Once your GoPro is connected, we're going to change some camera preferences first. And to do so, hit the little gear icon on your app. There are 3 things we're going to change in here, and the first is controls. You'll see by default it's set to easy. We're going to change it to pro, as this allows us to unlock the full functionality of the camera. Next, we're going to change our bitrate to high. This allows us to capture the most amount of data when filming. And then bit depth, we're going to change from 8-bit to 10-bit, as this allows us to capture more colors when recording. With that, our camera preferences are set up. Now we can exit out and set up our preset. In the middle of the screen, you'll see the video button. We're going to hit that, and now we can change the entire settings of this preset. First, we have to change our profile, and you'll see it's set to standard. I found that standard profile does great in all types of filming conditions and gonna be your best bet in a majority of situations. It's what I use 99% of the time. The HDR profile is great for high contrast situations and helps you retain your highlights, but it does not allow you to shoot in 5.3K and in 8x7. And then finally, the log profile is great for those who are going to color correct all of their footage in post-production, but for this preset, we're going to select standard as it requires the least amount of post-production. Next, you have to select our aspect ratio. You can think about this as the orientation in which your GoPro captures footage. YouTube videos are traditionally in 16:9 aspect ratio, whereas shorts and reels are in 9:16. However, if you're looking for the most flexibility, use the 8:7 aspect ratio. This allows you to use the GoPro's entire sensor and crop your footage in post-production to get both 16:9 and 9:16. I solely shoot in 8:7, so I can have that flexibility to use my videos for both YouTube and Instagram Reels. You can always use the GoPro Quick app later on to actually change the aspect ratio after the fact, which I'll be covering in my next video. For resolution, I shoot in 5.3K to capture the most amount of data. Just know this does fill up your SD cards, so I recommend about 128 gigs at minimum. For lens, you'll see the only option is set to wide, and this is because we have the 8:7 aspect ratio selected. Again, you'll be able to change this in post-production after the fact. Frames per second, this is totally up to you. I like to shoot in 30 frames per second. I just think it's easier to work with. If you want, you can always change it to 24. Hyper smooth, I have set to on. Duration, we have no limit. Scheduled capture, off, and timer, off. Next, we're gonna scroll down to Pro Tune settings, as this is ultimately how we change how your camera works. Shutter, I like to keep to auto. I think the GoPro shutter set to auto is good enough. EV comp is going to change how exposed your footage is. I like to go to -0.5 and underexpose my footage so I can always retain the shadows and highlights after the fact. ISO min, ISO max will keep where they are. White balance, this is actually pretty important to change. White balance changes how warm or cool your image is. I like to keep my white balance set to right around 5,000 on the cooler side. And if you want it to be warmer, you can go higher up the scale. Sharpness I have set to low, and I actually add sharpening after in post-production. And I'll teach you how to do that in the next video. Color I have set to natural, as I think it's the most realistic in my opinion. Raw audio I have off, and wind I actually have off as well, because I use a wind slayer around my GoPro. This little foam thing is hands down the best way to level up your audio quality, and I highly recommend you pick one up if you're looking for crisp, clean audio. They're linked down in the description as well.
So that wraps up part 1 of my video series on how to level up your GoPro footage. Be sure to stay tuned for part 2, where we're going to be walking through how to edit and export your footage to YouTube and Instagram. As always, if you found this video useful, feel free to like and subscribe, and leave any comments you have down below. Thanks for watching and hope to see you on the trails.